Welcome to A Double
Double
and Dice
with your host Kim.
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage
Pull up a comfy chair.
because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 135 of A Double and Dice. And as you may know, this would be like, it. Not only is it 135, but technically it's episode 1 of the new podcast, which I don't know if anybody's heard from our last episode, that we are changing gears.
Yeah, we're changing lanes.
We are going a little bit more broad.
We're going to be Dice Masters adjacent.
So we've turned our podcast into what do we call it? A Dice Masters podcast into a tabletop podcast.
Yeah, tabletop gaming podcast.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about anything tabletop gaming, from board games, RPGs. We can talk about that. TCGs, LCGs, all the CGs.
Yeah.
Out there.
On a table and play it, then it counts.
Yes, it's anything. So yes, we've so this would be our first episode that we're actually talking about games.
So, Kim,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to call it a new season?
Well, we are into a new season. This is season 6.
I hate the season thing, but
You know what? On our podcast website thing that we upload the podcast to, they call it by seasons.
I know they do. I just don't like it.
What do you like?
I don't know. It's a thing. I'm weird.
If it's not seasons, then what would you call it?
It's just one continuous loop. It never stops, Kim. Every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, without fail, we have put something out. If something has seasons, there's usually a break. We don't take a break. There is no breaks in podcasting for us. Right? Just like there's no crying in baseball. There's no breaks in podcasting.
That's a great movie. One of my all-time favorite movies.
It's actually funny that I bring that up because we just had International Women's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I should have watched A League of Your Own. Fantastic movie.
Such a good movie.
Yes. They did a TV show. Did you know that?
I did. I never watched it, though.
No, I watched it. It's on Prime. Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. I haven't seen a season 2 yet, but I feel like I watched that like it came out like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I saw some reviews of it, and I always intended to watch it, but it's just one of those things, like when it comes to television and movies right now, like there's so much you can't...
Yes. Keep up.
And we used to always go out and watch the Marvel stuff, like on release day, and we haven't seen the last couple of things. So
I still haven't seen Black Panther.
Okay, so I saw Black Panther.
It's too long.
So I saw both Black Panthers, but I haven't seen the new Captain America movie. So
I think I did. That was the one with Miss Marvel, right?
No, that's something different. That's Captain Marvel, not Captain America.
Oh, the new Captain America, the new Captain America. No, I haven't seen that. I don't really. I would wait for it to come on Disney, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we used to like going to the movies. Not that we don't still like going to the movies. It's just we don't have time. Life is busy.
It's not I'm not a big Marvel fan, so I'm not jumping over hoops to go watch it. So
I put it this way: like I really enjoy the stuff. Usually, I feel like it's saturated. There's too much of it now.
Yeah.
There's too many shows and movies and everything. It's like, okay, we hit this like jackpot with Iron Man, and then we, had the, ultimate ending with Endgame, and then now everything is Marvel. Marvel, more Marvel. I just saw, what did I see? Daredevil's being advertised right now on Disney.
Yes, the new one. It's like a reborn one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to see that because I loved that Daredevil.
Same guy plays it, right?
Yeah, it's the same guy. Same guy that was in the Spider-Man movie. So, I haven't seen the new Spider-Man movie either. I haven't seen Spider-Verse. So I'm really bad. I'm behind. But
me too. I'm way behind. And they seem to be doing it with Star Wars too. Do you know how many shows they have out there?
Star Wars
No,
is super saturated. And they did the same thing with Star Trek. Star Trek got super saturated for a while.
because they're making the money. They're gonna do
Yeah.
it.
But honestly, I don't have time. I have adult things to do. That sounds like I'm saying that movies aren't adult things. Movies are adult things. I have other adult things to do, like clean my house and travel for work and whatever. We don't need to
And work.
It's boring. It pays for the hobbies.
Yeah, like I decided to rewatch Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
And I watched it before, but I don't know what seasons like went into. I decided to stop because I just lost interest. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going. That was years ago, right? That was like when it was out. Now I'm like, you know what? Let me try it again. So I've been. It's 11 seasons, I think.
Oh my gosh.
I'm on the 11th season, and I see to myself why I stopped watching it because I am struggling to get through it and finish it. But I said to myself, I will finish it no matter what. But it lost. I don't know when the season was, but it went downhill.
So I really liked Walking Dead in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a season where like every other episode I was out. I was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this show. And then the next episode they would draw me back in,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would lose it again. So ultimately, and I mean this show's been old for a long time, right? So if I'm spoiling this, like the next 30 seconds are going to be Walking Dead spoilers. So if you haven't,
I don't think it's
Walking
that
Dead,
long ago. I thought it was like 2021 or something like that. No?
long ago enough. What I'm going to share is much older than that.
Okay.
So when I stopped watching Walking Dead was right when sort of the Negan character was introduced.
Yes.
And so there was the end of a season, and it was on a big cliffhanger. Who's going to die? Who's going to die?
Mm-hmm.
I know who dies.
Yes.
I will say it. This is a spoiler if you haven't watched whatever season 7 of The Walking Dead or whatever it is. Cover your ears for 30 seconds. So I didn't see it happen, but I heard about it when Glenn died.
Yes.
So the last episode I watched was the season end before that. And then the next episode was the beginning of the following season when Glenn was killed. So that was when I stopped watching The Walking Dead.
So I went a little further than you.
Pardon? You
Went a little further. I think maybe I finished Negan that after all that, and then I stopped watching that back then.
So let's see. What...
So it was 2010. It's finished in 2022. So not that long ago.
So Glenn died... Oh, I guess I just didn't give you the spoilers. It's been more than 30 seconds. Sorry. It was season 7 premiere.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched until the end of season 6.
Okay, so I think I watched the end of season 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11. I never watched, but now I'm getting through it. Barely getting through it.
Season of Fear the Walking Dead, and
I
like,
watched that.
Any more
Yep.
of this.
That didn't last very long.
No, it did
And-
last one season though.
Yeah, and then they made the Daryl Dixon one. They have one with Maggie and Negan, and then they have like a short series with what was her name? Oh my gosh,
Carol.
so just an S. Michonne and Rick. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So later on, Negan turns into like a good guy, right?
Spoiling? Yeah. Yes.
Well, I mean, there's also the comics, right? So
Yeah. He does.
yeah, because you just said Maggie and Negan, so Maggie wouldn't be with the bad guys.
Well, and Maggie hates him, right? Because obviously he killed Glenn. So it's a very hatred thing still in the show up until now. So I don't know how they get chummy, but maybe we'll find
Another
out.
example of how they inundate you with content about the same stuff when you find out something works. So The Walking Dead works, so then there was Fear the Walking Dead and all the spin-offs. Anyway, and sidebar, I don't get the Dixon love. The Daryl love. I don't
Really?
get it. I don't get it. Like I don't know. Like people, I say people, other women seem to really think that he is attractive or something.
Okay.
I just don't get it. It's not me. Anyway, but
Maybe because he's badass. I don't know.
Anyway, this is a really great tabletop gaming podcast, Kim.
I know. This is what we do. We do write a lot of stuff.
I know.
Okay, one more thing on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
My hated character, I hated him so much, was Carl.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't stand him as his character. I couldn't wait for it. Like, I'm like, thank goodness he's dead. Yeah. I could not stand him at all. It was so weird. I could deal with everybody else, but Carl, I was like, oh gosh, this guy I can like kill. Just die already.
Hilarious.
All right, that's it for Walking Dead. And that is our TV podcast.
This new podcast, and we might not go off on train wrecks, but of course
I know, right?
That's what we do best.
Yes.
So I think we're still sort of figuring out how we're going to do this.
Yes.
But for today, I think we're going to each talk about some games that we've played over the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That sound good?
That sounds good.
Awesome. So do you want to do one and then I'll do one and vice versa?
Sure. I got two. So these games, the first one I'm going to talk about, we play on Saturdays. Saturday nights on DM North TV, on Twitch. And one game that we played that actually you sat in for a little bit of it when we were playing it.
For both of them for a few minutes.
Yeah, was called Starship Captains. So it's a game by Czech Games. So it's a worker placement game. There's some drafting to it. And really, at the end, you're just trying to get as much victory points as you can to win.
Got it.
It's a sci-fi game that plays off of Star Trek. So... Shocking. So like their uniforms look like Star Trek, but they're not actually the symbol because they probably can't use it. No. A lot of the art is really cool. Very cartoony looking art, but realistic, I guess you can say. Components are great. Everything is great. And I think they have some names and stuff like that kind of Star Trek-y. So
what is a worker placement game if someone doesn't know what that is?
A worker placement game. So worker placement game would be like you're taking a cube or a meeple that represents yourself or something of some sort that you place on a board or you place on your board, or it depends. And then it's like you're sending your worker to do something. Okay. Yeah. So it can be on your board, it can be on the main board, it can be like different sections, like things like that. So anytime you're sending something or whatever you're using as a component to do work is like a worker placement. I guess my best interpretation.
I will take it.
If I'm wrong, people can correct me.
So worker placement. So
yeah, drafting is like either you passing cards around with the players, or you can like be taking a card off, like paying to take a card off the board, or like at a market, I guess you can say. So like that's kind of what drafting is. Just like how you draft in when you play games and card games, you're drafting.
Got it.
Right? How you go play Star Wars or Magic. You know what I mean? You draft, right? Same concept. So what you are is you're a captain of a ship, and you're using your workers, which are represented by different colors. Red, blue, yellow, gray, and there's a gold guy, which is like the wild color guy. I think you could do anything with him, or he can only be used for missions, but I'll get into that. And you use them to complete tasks. You start with some on your ship, and then as you go, you can change your one color into another color. You can use those to do certain tasks. So like your red dude, and they're actually little people that you have on a ship, your own little ship. Red people help you move. So you're moving across the planets and stuff like that on the board. And you're trying to complete missions. Okay. So each planet on the board has a mission, which gives you victory points. So if you complete it, you get victory points. So that's one way of getting victory points. So you use your red guys to move around space. To go to these like space. That's gonna get stuck in my head. Go around to space. to get a mission, and then you also use your guys to complete missions. Okay, like the different colors. Then you have your yellow guy. He helps to fight space pirates. So along your way as you're moving, there could be a space pirate in your way, and you have to fight it, and it gives you rewards. But sometimes you have to take damage. So yes, your ship can get damaged, and you have to manage that. We'll get into that.
Okay.
Then the blue guy is your science guy, is a techie guy. You put him out to work. He will get you cards. So this is where the drafting part comes on. There's cards on the board. If you send your guy out, you can get you cards. Cards can give you victory points. Cards can give you help to repair your ship. It can help you to beat the bad guys. You know what I mean? Whatever. There's just cards that can help you out. So there's like room cards that can do things. There's techie cards that can do things. Just to help you in your ship or whatever. So like taking damage out, helping you get things. So those are like card based stuff that you'll pick up. So that guy does that. So and then there's the regular guy. He's the gray guy. I guess. I forget what the gray guy actually does.
Okay.
Did I talk about the gray guy? Oh, he helps you repair your ship. So if your ship takes damage, either from pirates or it could take damage in other ways, sometimes missions, if you want the points, you might have to take damage. You know what I mean? They help you repair your ship. Okay, and damage on your ship is represented by little, like, I think they're called cogs, or they're like little, that kind of symbol, like that kind of thing. That could be, you can get on your ship if you take damage, but they help you repair by taking off damage. Damage at the end of the game loses you points.
So like a gear icon or something.
Yeah, that's it, like a gear icon.
Yeah, cog works too. But...
Yeah. So you're... Yes.
So you said that the red ones, they go
move
out and try and complete missions?
They move.
Okay.
They only move. So they help you to move, and they can move 2 spaces.
Well, that is a missed opportunity.
So as soon as you land on a planet that has a mission, you automatically get that mission card.
I feel like the red ones should be the ones that die the most often.
And missions are placed on your board. You can only have 1 mission at a time. Okay, so these guys are like sitting in like, they call it like the waiting room. Okay, so you start with like certain colors, and you have...
They can't call it the ready room because that's Star Trek.
Actually, I think they do call it the ready room. No, I think they do actually call it the ready room. I had to look it up because I was going to name... Yeah, they do call it the ready room. And then they have, like, you have 3 other, like, each color waiting in, like, a queue. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can't use them yet. So you have the other ones, so you're doing your things. You're moving, you're getting cards, you're fighting pirates, you're repairing a ship. As you use your... And this is a cool thing about the board, your player board. As you use it, they go in like this little slot and they move into the queue. Okay, so you say I'm moving, and then they go into the queue, so they go behind your other worker in the queue. Mission cards, if you have one there, it uses certain colors. So you might need like yellow and red to complete a mission. And if you put a red one next to the mission card, it gives you advantages, or it can give you damage, or it can... things like that, like rewards, right? And then they have points at the end. So you use them also, your colors, to do certain things. So they go in the queue as you kind of go. Now, the tricky thing about this game, I know it sounds easy. You're moving around, getting around, yeah, sure. But when the round ends, and you pretty much end your turn when you have nothing to do.
Right.
Okay? So you take a turn, next person takes a turn, and then if you have nothing to do, your turn ends. That other person could still take 2 more turns because they have people or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Or cards that bounce off each other or things like that.
They can take.
Yeah. So once you're done, what happens is all your people in the queue now move down. Okay. Back into your ready room, and then 3 stay back. Okay, so the last 3 in the queue, they stay back, but everything moves into the ready room. Here's where comes the tricky part. You may get 2 reds. Mm-hmm. You may get 1 yellow, but you need 2 yellows. So this is when now you can like upgrade your guys. Mm-hmm. You can like take the yellow into a red, or you could take your gray and upgrade them to whatever color. And you use that by medals. So there's like these little medals that you can gain by rewards or anything like that you use to like I guess, upgrade your guys.
Right.
But I got like stuck in sometimes, like, I don't know what to do. Right? Because it's like, I don't need this color. You know what I mean? Like, you could take a mission and not complete it. You won't get the rewards, but it's like, I don't know what to do. And I had to like think a little bit of how you use your workers the best as you can. Right. Sometimes you might need, you might need the cards to do it. That sometimes they play off each other. Some of the cards have like rooms, which are like the same colors as your guy. So if you put the blue one on there instead, then he does this or whatever. So that's where the strategic part comes in. And it was tough. Like, I stood there for like 2 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Right? Like, because you're stuck with these certain workers and you're trying to figure out how to make it work out. Right? So, so that's pretty much the game. By the end of it, you pretty much score up all your points. You can lose points for still damage on your ship. And you can gain points of cards again and things like that. So, actually a really cool game. I really enjoyed it. Theme was good. There's so many things you can do, and you try to like manage your ship because you don't want it to get too much damage, or else you can't hold things, and which can help you, like your cargo, and when you get like rewards and things. So, but yeah, fun game. I don't think it was very popular.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was kickstarted. It's not a very popular game, but if you have a chance, I would say definitely play it. If you like worker placements and stuff like that. Like, I'm a big worker placement person. Anything worker placement, rolling dice,
so
deck building, that's me.
How long would a game typically take? I know when you play it online, it might take a little longer because...
this one I don't think had taken us very long. I'm going to say an hour and a half.
That's not too bad.
No. Yes, as you say, we play online, so it does take a little longer, especially when there's cards involved, and I have to go looking in a deck to find a card. Right? So, that's the only, like, downfall. And this one is you have to own it to play it. Usually some games we have to proxy, but this one you cannot proxy. So, you would definitely have to own it to play it. But, that is Starship Captains.
Cool. So I have two things that I can talk about as well. I'm going to talk about the one that people have heard me talk about before first, which is HeroClix. So did you know, Kim, that HeroClix is the #1 selling collectible miniatures game in the world?
Really?
With over 750 million plus figures and counting. It is the most purchased collectible miniatures game on the market.
Interesting.
Says WizKids.
Says WizKids.
On their website under wizkids.com/HeroClix.
Well, there's no really other miniature game like that, right?
There's nothing like HeroClix.
Yeah.
There are other miniature games like Warhammer and things like that. But there's nothing really like HeroClix. HeroClix is very unique because how it works, obviously, the uniqueness of it is each character has a dial, and the dial has different powers and abilities and stats based on how much damage the figure has taken and their original, strength level. So, like, sometimes you have just like regular people in HeroClix, right? So, the regular people don't have super high powers, but maybe they can provide support to your heroes. So, basically with HeroClix, most of the product is blind. So you buy a blind booster box or a blind booster brick. You open it up. There's usually 5 figures in the brick, and they all come with cards, and you build a team of a certain point value, and then you play a game. So my favorite way to play HeroClix by far is what we call sealed. And sealed is where you get a number of boosters of product. So typically you get 2 boosters is the normal version. You get 2 boosters of product. You build a point value up to 300 points for your team, and then you play some games. So the most recent set that just launched is Spider-Verse. So behind on the Spider-Verse movies. Saw the first one, haven't seen the second one.
Oh, and the third? Wasn't there 3?
I thought there was only 2.
Oh, I'm gonna go look now.
Okay, you look. Well, I'm talking about HeroClix. So Spider-Verse is the set that just came out. It released officially on March 5th. March 5th, 2025. And I was able to attend a release event. I ran a release event at our local store here in Oshawa, which is called the 3D Shop, this past weekend. So we had a brick of product, 2 bricks of product, and we had 8 players for the event. And I pulled really well. So just like Dice Masters had, all of the figures have rarities: common, uncommon, rare, super rare, and then there's chase figures in every set, and then sometimes they have an ultra chase. So I pulled a chase figure. I pulled Chase Sandman, which is a super cool figure because he's a Spider-Man villain, obviously. And the set is full of Spider-Men from all over the universe and the multiverse, and Spider-Man villains and all kinds of cool stuff. So I got to pull a chase, which was pretty awesome. Rob pulled the Prime Spider Ham.
Ooh, Spider Ham is awesome.
Yeah, so the Prime Spider Ham, he didn't play it because he actually pulled 2 primes, and in HeroClix you can only put 1 prime on a team.
So what makes it a prime?
It typically has some kind of very strong power.
Okay.
If it was played in multiples, that it would sort of break the game. So the Prime Spider-Ham has an ability that he can knock back an opposing character. So knockback happens like when you hit them. There's certain things that'll trigger a knockback. Normally knockback is 3 squares. And there's certain things that'll stop knockback. Like if you fall off of a ledge or you hit a wall, you would stop. Spider-Ham Prime knocks you back 16 squares, which is the entire map. And does not stop your... you don't stop if you hit another character, you don't stop if you hit a wall, you don't stop if you fall off elevation, you just keep getting knocked back. So it's really cool. So it's a neat thing. But he pulled a Prime Spider-Man 2099 as well, which is what he played. And he pulled the Spot. And the Spot is super cool because he comes with a marker. Because if you're familiar with the Spot, like he kind of like, I guess he can like phase in and out of space, so he can like punch you from behind himself.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm not good with the comics. He comes with a marker, and you put the marker on the map, and you can move the marker for free 4 squares, and then he can attack through the marker for free.
Like an actual marker, or like you're talking like a marker, like a
token.
A token, okay.
Yeah. So it's called they call it a marker in here, because it's like a token marker. So the token has like one of his arms on it. And you move it around the map, and you can attack through it. And then when you successfully attack, after you resolve that attack, you can take that figure that you hit and place it next to the Spot, and then you can attack it again. So it's a very effective team. So my team went pretty well. Like I played a pretty good team. I had Sandman, I had Bedlam, which is another Spider-Man villain, and I had some other stuff. Norman Osborn, I think, and a couple of other things. The only loss that I had in the 3 rounds was to Rob. Rob and I got paired up in the last round because we were both winning, and he ended up taking the event prizing. So it was a release event. So for HeroClix release events, you get a prize kit. It usually includes 3 figures, and then it includes 5 maps, which is kind of disappointing, because they should have 6 maps now. They changed the size of the booster bricks, and the booster bricks now support 6 players in a release event. So they really should, or 12 players for a case. You really should have 6 maps, but they only included 5, which is kind of a miss on their part. Hopefully they'll fix that. And then there's usually some other stuff, like a legacy card maybe, or in this particular case, there was exclusive terrain markers that you can put on the map to change the map, the way the map works. So you can put down elevated or blocking or hindering terrain to impact your opponent and yourself, and to protect yourself and things like that. So there was special terrain that you can't get anywhere else. So as the winner, Rob picked the terrain, and then there was 3 of the figures, so those were given away, and then the maps were given away. So everybody went away with something extra in addition to their 2 boosters of product. So we pulled some really cool stuff, and it was a super fun game event. So
now, did he get all those pricing?
No.
Oh, okay.
One.
You pick one thing.
One thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and how I always do it with the event is whatever's in there, I give everybody an option, right? So I'll lay it all out and say, okay, because typically you would say, okay, you probably want the figure, right? But the terrain is exclusive. So, Rob could have chosen a map. He could have chosen a terrain. He came in first. He got to pick. And then basically we went down the map. We went down the list and everybody got something. And then once we finished that, we had a couple of legacy cards. Legacy cards are on top of the bricks, and what they do is they take an older game element and allow you to play it in modern with an updated card with new powers and abilities. So it means that the plastic you have sitting in your basement has value now, because when it rotates out of modern, out of modern, you didn't play it as often. Now you can bring those old figures back into modern with these cards. So they gave us 2 legacy cards because we used 2 bricks of product for the event, and we rolled off for fellowship for those, for whatever was left in the prizing. So yeah, it was really fun. Release events, you always leave with 2 boosters of new product and something extra.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it was fun. It was a really fun event, and we had, like I said, we had 8 people, including our 2 young players, Noah and Olin. So Noah just turned 10, and I think Olin is 9. So they had a great time. It was great to see everybody out, and we had some players that hadn't played in a while that came back into the game. They were available. Our one friend Michael hasn't played in over a year, and he came out, so that was great. And so release event for Spider-Verse, super fun set. Super, super cool. Lots of cool looking sculpts. So many neat chases in this set. We didn't pull one, but there's a spider Thor. And he has the power of Mjolnir. So when he uses his Blades, Claws, Fangs attack, which is when you hit the character, you can roll a die and deal them extra damage. He gets to roll a D8. So he comes with a D8.
Okay.
So pretty neat.
Yeah, usually you're rolling D6s, right?
Yeah, we didn't pull one this week, but our friend Justin pulled one last weekend at the event that was run at Game Time. When I ran the event at Game Time Collectibles in Mississauga the week before. So yeah, so cool figures, cool sculpts, cool playability, lots of fun. And so yeah, it's really, if I had to describe HeroClix for anyone who doesn't play it, it's a strategy game with miniatures that is constantly changing. And if you think about it, you're fighting someone, you get tired, you get exhausted, your powers change, you maybe don't have as much strength or as much durability. That's kind of how it works. So it really is sort of evolving or dynamic game state. And it's not the most easy thing to learn, for sure. It's fairly complex, but there's lots of great ways to get into it. And I really, really do enjoy playing HeroClix. So yeah, so that's what my first one was.
HeroClix. All right.
On that camera, did you get them all?
Yes. So there was 3.
Yeah.
There was Spider-Man Homecoming was the first one. Far From Home was the second one. And then No Way Home was the third one.
Right. I've seen all of those, but Spider-Verse is something different as the animated one.
Oh, you're talking about the animated one. Yeah, they only made 2.
Yeah, I saw the first one, but not the second one.
Yeah, I don't think I saw the second one. Actually, I'm not really keen on watching it, actually. Not really.
I've heard that it's very good, and one of the promos for buying a brick of product is a Spider Rex, like a T-Rex, big colossal spider dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
So, and apparently that character shows up in the Spider-Verse movie, the second one.
Yeah, I didn't see the second one. Again, not keen to really watch it.
On Disney Plus, so I can
probably
watch it.
What Marvel thing is not on Disney Plus? So my second board game was a Steampunk Rally. A pretty old game from Roxley Games, which is a Canadian company. Yay. Yeah. One of our favorites on the channel, Roxley Games. They do Dice Throne. So, you probably heard about Dice Throne.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Aren't they the ones that do Radlands too?
Yep, they do Radlands, which I've been telling you to try.
Well, the reason I remember that is because when I was at, where was I? Gen Con last year, I got you some stuff. Yes,
that's right. Because they show up there.
Yeah.
They're not showing up a breakout count though. Too bad. So this Steampunk Rally is a racing game with dice rolling, and it's dice placement. So you roll your dice and you're placing the dice. So same as a worker placement, okay? But you're placing dice in this case. Your numbers do mean something when you roll it, and it's pretty much. And there's drafting, actual drafting. So you're gonna have 4 cards each, and you pick one and you move it along, kind of thing, right? In our case, it was Miss Me and Jordo, so we just passed it to each other. And it's pretty much the first to cross the finish line, the furthest wins. Okay. So I can cross the finish line, but then when Jordo crosses the finish line, then it's one more turn left, and it's the furthest from that crosses the finish line wins.
So it's not about the first person that's passed it. It's once both of you passed it.
Yeah.
You get one more turn to figure out who can go farthest.
Yes, pretty much. So what you're an inventor, which these are actually real inventors. And since when we played was Saturday, which was International Women's Day, both Jordan and I played women inventors.
Nice.
I don't remember my one's name, but she invented the shopping bag that we use today. Jordo, I don't remember what she invented. I can't remember. But yeah, so then you're building or constructing this weird looking machine to get your way through the finish line, or race through the finish line, which uses steam, heat, and electricity to get your contraption going, which are represented by the dice colors. So I think it was red, blue, and yellow. Okay. So those are your color dices that you roll. So first, what you do is there's 4 decks. Each deck it runs like silver, bronze, gold, and like a black deck. They're shuffled individually, and then you pick a card from each deck. So you have 4 in your hand. Each player does this. You take a look at it, and then what you do is this is where the drafting comes in, and you take one and pass. Take one, pass. Take one, pass. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, on these cards, they do 2 things. You either take it as a machine part that you will put and attach it to your engine. Okay.
Yeah.
Or you can take what's offered. So sometimes it's like 2 red dice or 2 blue dice or 2 yellow dice / cogs, which I'll get into what cogs are. Mm-hmm. So you can take the card to put it to your machine, or you can take the dice or the cogs. Okay? So it's either or. Once you decide you're going to put it as a machine part, it goes right onto your machine. Now, these are all card-based. They're like not that big cards that you're making. But everything has to make sure they connect. You can't put a part that doesn't connect. So everything has to go right back to your engine. Okay? And they kind of represent by like a little like circle. So if you put your cards together, there's like a circle in between it, then you're connected. And if it connects to your engine, you're good. If you put it where it doesn't have a circle, so it doesn't connect, it's illegal. You can't put it. Okay? Now you can shift your machine parts around and make your contraption weirder, just to make sure that all the parts connect and everything still connects back to your engine. So you can always shift around.
Probably made it as weird as possible.
Yeah, they look weird. They do. It's like funny because it's like, oh, this thing is holding up like 2 feet. Like, how's that possible? You know what I mean? Like spider feet is like one of the bottom things. Anyways, so you're adding parts, or you're taking dice or cogs to use. So once you're done drafting, then whatever dice you got from the cards or during the drafting, you roll them. Okay. On the cards, there are different sections. If you roll a 5 and you need a 5, you're dividing. So 5 divided by 1, and it equals a movement. So you get 1 movement. Let's say it was a 3. You roll a 6 and you put the 6 on there. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. You get 2 movement.
So you're doing math.
Yeah, yeah, it's easy math. But some of them are wild. Doesn't matter what you put on there. It can go on. So, like if you put a 2 and it's a wild, it does effects. Now, different effects to different dice do. It could move you, right, down the track. It can give you shields. Shields protect you from terrain down the race. So you will take damage if you're not well protected. Some of the things, if you roll, will give you removing dice. So how this works is when you place dice on your machine, they don't go away. Okay. So then in the next drafting, you may need dice to roll, right? Yeah. So then you would have to draft dice or draft more machine parts and then roll them and then put them back on. But here's the thing, they stay on. So to remove them, some of the parts allow you to do that. So if you roll a certain number and you put it down, it allows you to move a die from your card because there's only a certain amount of slots on these cards for dice. Mm-hmm. So you have to watch that. The cogs can help you remove dice as well. You pay 1 cog to remove 2 pips off your dice. Once you go down to 0, the dice is gone. So if you're at a 4 and you spend 2 cogs, your dice can get removed. They can also help you to, if you need a certain number. So if I rolled a 5, but I need a 6, I can spend a cog to make it a 6.
Got it. So it
okay.
allows you to sort of manipulate.
Yeah. So, and then there's like these booster cards that's also part of the draft that can help you with removing dice. It can help you with gaining dice. It can help you to say, like, one card I had was, if you have 2s, you can remove all of them from your board, right? So it helps to clear your board or things like that. So so you've done, you rolled, you put your stuff down, you're either moving down, you're taking damage, things like that. Once you're done rolling and everything happens, if you've taken damage and you had no shields, so if you take like 1, 2, 3 damage, guess what? You lose parts on your thing. Mm-hmm. If you end up losing your engine, you explode. Okay, so you come back, but you're like behind on the track. So you get your engine back, you get placed behind, closest to the start, and then you kind of start all over again. Okay, but you lose your machine parts, so you have really starting all over again. Mm-hmm. So you keep doing this until you pass the finish line. I think Jordo exploded twice.
Oh yeah,
once or twice. I kept mine pretty good. I never exploded. But he exploded twice. But again, do I explode for benefit? You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a strategic thing. And you also have to manage your dice because you can't keep them all on your machine parts or else you have no dice to roll, nowhere to put them. Because you lose your dice once you lose it. Like, you don't keep it, I guess you can say. Some cards have storage that you can put the dice in the storage and then you can roll it the next turn. Things like that. So, yeah, it was so close. I took off from Jordo because he kept exploding. Right? So, I took off, and then I was like, I'm doing well. I'm managing my terrain. I can't take damage. I'm moving. Right at the end, I passed the finish line. Jordo passed it. Well, it was last turn, and I'm like, great. I don't need any shields, so I have so much movement on my things. Gotta roll the nice numbers. I need 5s and 6s. How hard can that be? I rolled 1s and 2s and lost. Uh-huh. So, and you can re-roll your dice if you had cogs. Mm-hmm. Problem is, I spent all my cogs to do manipulations to remove some dice, and then I didn't have any cogs, so I couldn't re-roll. So I ended up losing by 2 spaces. Because I rolled bad. I was rolling so good, and right at the last one I rolled bad. And, lost by 2 spaces. And the old Jordo, exploded and lost machine parts and all this stuff. But, it's, so it's like a racing, building your machine, still very strategic, kind of deciding, do I put a machine part down? Or do I need dice to roll? Right? So it's
almost like resource management.
Almost. Yeah. Yeah. Because you got to figure out what, But then you don't want to get stuck by, I'm rolling and which I did the first turn. I accidentally only had like 2 parts, right? My engine and 1 part that you start with. But stupid me got 4 dice, and I don't have 4 spots to put the dice.
Right.
So I mismanaged the first turn. But then you learn as you go. But you got to manage also taking off the dice. What do I use my cogs for? Do I need machine parts? Or can I manage what I have and I just need dice and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's really random of what you get because you could get stuck with cards that don't help you. Like you don't need that machine part, or what you need is red dice, but there's only blue ones available. So,
how many players can play this game?
8.
So if you're playing with more than like 1 player, because it was just you and Matt, right?
Yeah, so 2 of us.
Like, could you trade other players?
What do you mean?
So, like in Catan, for example, you've played Catan before.
Yeah.
Can I trade you a wool for a sheep? Like, can you do that for your No?
No trading. It's whatever you draft.
I guess you don't trade a wool for a sheep because it's the same thing. Can I trade you a sheep for a wood? But you know what I meant.
Yes. No. It'd be very interesting with more people because I wonder if you draft more cards, and because we drafted 4 cards each in a 2-player game, so I'm not sure if you draft more cards in a more player games. But I think it would be very chaotic, going down this race with like 8 people. I'm like, oh my gosh! But I've never played anything really that game with more than 2. Again, a very older game. I'm not sure if much people own it. And again, this is one you need to own because you can't proxy those cards.
Right.
Yeah. So fun little racing game. Very different. You kind of just more building your machine to get yourself down there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed it.
Sorry?
And you enjoyed it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which one did you like better? Starship Captains or?
Pretty much both the same. They're both
Punk Rally.
Different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're the same type of game, but different.
If both of them were sitting in front of you on a table,
oh my gosh,
which one would you pick?
Huh?
Instinct. Don't think.
Steampunk Rally.
Okay, there you go. Cool. Awesome. So my second thing that I'm talking about today is Star Wars Unlimited. So another TCG. This is a deck building game that released in 2024, and the new set is in pre-release right now. So it's set number 4. This is the 4th set they've released. It's called Jump to Lightspeed, and it was in pre-release this weekend. So we went to a pre-release. We went to Gamer's Table, which is a gaming store. It's primarily a board game store in Oshawa, and the only real TCG that he does at all is Star Wars Unlimited, and I think the reason he got into it is because his friend wanted to play it and didn't have anywhere to play, so he got into supporting that store, supporting that game. So pre-release for Star Wars Unlimited follows sort of the same format as a Magic pre-release. You get a predetermined box. Inside the box, there's tokens, there's a deck box, there is 2 leader cards that are in a special alt art treatment, but they're not unique, like everybody gets the same ones. And then you get 6 packs of the latest set to open up yourself and build a team with, build a deck with. When you're building a deck in Draft for Star Wars, you want to have 30 cards in your deck. And unlike Magic, and I guess similar to Lorcana, any card, I guess Lorcana has some rules like uninkables, right? But basically in Star Wars, any card in your deck can be a resource.
Okay.
So you don't have to have, like, Magic has lands. You have to have certain color lands. Lorcana has inkables and uninkables.
Yeah.
But in Star Wars, every card can be resourced to make your resources. So how it works, you build a 30-card deck in Draft. There's a recommended sheet of what you should recommend, like when you're building your deck, that you should have so many spaceships, so many ground units, so many events and upgrades as a recommended sort of level. And then of course you want to have a decent cost, what's the word, like trend, there's a word for it. So you don't want to have everything to be too high cost. You want to have like 1 cost, 2 costs, 3 costs, like have a, what's that word, you know the word I'm looking for? Arch? No. Anyway,
3 costs, like, yeah, the card cost.
The card cost. You want to have it like accelerating, like from low to high. You don't want to put all the like high cost cards in your deck and then not be able to play anything, right?
Well, yeah, you know how much resources you're going to need, how much cards you're going to be wasting.
Yeah, there's a word for what I'm thinking of, and I can't think of the word for it. People are screaming it right now as they're listening to this podcast in their cars or on transit. They're like, "This is the word." I can't think of it right
in the quiet section when everybody looks at you and be like, "Shh."
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so you build your deck and then you play some rounds.
So you don't draft those cards from that little.
Not in a pre-release.
So how many cards do you actually get?
You get 6 packs
times cards?
I think it's 15 Star Wars Unlimited.
15 cards in a pack? Wow. That seems like a lot.
9, 10, 13.
Okay, so 13 times.
And then you get a leader and a base, so 15. Yep. So 15 cards in a pack times 6.
Oh, I can't do that math, so 70 something?
No, more than that, because 15 times 2.
Oh, 50. We're doing 15 times 6. Okay.
So 30, 60, 90.
90 cards, and you're only building a 30 deck?
Yeah. So with Star Wars, how it works is you have a leader and you have a base, and those have color aspects. I believe there's 5 different color aspects. And the cards that you put in your deck need to match your color aspects on your base or on your leader. Okay? If you play a card that doesn't match those, so for example, the deck that I played this weekend was gold, green, and orange, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also like black and red. If I put a black and red card, or black or red card in my deck, I'd have to pay 2 extra resources to play that card.
Oh, so you're punishing yourself if you want to play a different color than your base or leader. Is your base and leader pretty much the same colors?
So they all have the same 5 colors, and you can mix and match them. So typically a base has 1 color on it, and your leader has 2 colors on it, so you have 3 colors to choose from.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I typically try and mix it up, especially in like a pre-release or a draft where you're drafting cards and you don't know what you're going to be getting. I try to make sure I have 3 different colors to work with. So with a pre-release, I open up my my card packs. Mm-hmm. I sort them by color first. And then once I sort them by color, I look at sort of where do I have the most cards to work with from a color perspective. And then I grab a leader or a base that matches those colors and start to see if I can make a team out of it. What's unique about Star Wars is, first off, it's growing. It's a new game. It's only been out for about a year. It was around this time last year. We were at Toronto Comic Con and we were playing it because it had just released. They're being very responsive to feedback, and they're adding new abilities in every set. So every set has something new. Some stuff is working, some stuff isn't. Sort of reminds me of Dice Masters, where this keyword was trash, so they never did it again, and other keywords kept going, right? So there's a lot of different aspects to it, but what I love about Star Wars Unlimited is you have ground units and you have space units. So you have 2 different types of units, and you get to choose who you're attacking. So if I'm in the ground, I can choose which of your ground units to attack, and then your card would just take damage. Then they have some abilities that can prevent that. So like if let's say you have 2 or 3 ground units, Kim, and I have 2 ground units, but one of mine has the keyword that's called Sentinel. In order to get through to attack my base and get my base down to 0 health, you have to attack the Sentinel first.
Okay, yeah.
The Sentinel is like a protector,
yep.
Right? But you could also have a card that has maybe a Saboteur keyword, and a Saboteur says, I don't care about your Sentinel, I can still go directly to your base. So there's different like interactions like that.
Yeah.
The new mechanic that they brought in this set is called piloting. So you can play a unit or you can play a unit as a pilot. So most of them have a pilot cost that is different than their regular cost, and you can put them on a vehicle, and it gives the vehicle extra stats and potentially extra abilities. So it's pretty neat. The other thing they introduced in this set is what they call indirect damage. And indirect damage is unavoidable. So when I play a card that has indirect damage, you, as my opponent, get to choose what happens to that damage. It's the only time you get to choose. Otherwise, I would choose, right? I choose who I'm attacking. I choose how I'm doing my damage. You don't get to choose who's blocking or anything like that. But with indirect damage, you get to choose where it goes. So, for example, I was playing a card on the weekend. It was a 3 cost, so I had to spend 3 resources. I can't remember the name of the card, but it dealt 5 indirect damage to an opponent. So you can say, okay, I'm going to put that into my base, or I'm going to put 2 of that damage on this unit and 3 into my base, or I'm going to put all 5 into this unit. You get to choose. You get some choices. So, and then I had one card. It was super strong. It was 6 cost.
Huh.
So it takes up to, you start with 2 resources, and then you add 1 every turn, every round. So you have to get to like 5 rounds or 4 or 5 rounds before you can play this card. And it says deal 8 damage, indirect damage to an opponent. But if you control a capital ship, a ship that has a capital ship keyword, deal 12 damage. And your bases only have 30 health. So your one card is potentially halving, right? And because it's a late game card, you have to have 6 resources to get there.
Yeah.
Right? It could be a game winner.
So can your air people hit the ground people, or it's only air to air, ground to ground?
Air to air, ground to ground, with some exceptions. There's occasionally a card that says like this character can attack space units.
Oh, okay.
So it can also become a little bit one-sided depending on what you've drawn. So like typically up until this set, there was mostly ground units in these sets. So I would try and build my decks around space units because no one ever had any protection in space. And then I could just go in and destroy them from space. But in this one, because it's focused on vehicles, there's ground vehicles, but there's more space vehicles. There's a lot more space vehicles in this set, which is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this set impacts sort of the meta. I do not play this game competitively and do not intend to, but it's interesting to see how the cards interact. Like, I enjoy this game. I enjoy going out and playing it. It is fun. It has enough decision making and uniqueness to it compared to like if I had a choice, if I was like, okay, there's a Magic pre-release or a Star Wars Unlimited pre-release, I'm picking Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any attachment to Star Wars as a movie franchise. I never even watched Star Wars until I was like well into my teens.
Oh, me too. I used to fall asleep during it.
I am not attached to the intellectual property at all. But the mechanics of the game that they've built are very interesting, and I really, really enjoy playing it. But that's the same with HeroClix. Like, I don't really know anything about the Marvel and DC and D&D and whatever else they're building. I don't really have a lot of connection to that. I just like the game mechanics, and it's the same with Star Wars. I like the game mechanics.
So have you have to play Star Wars?
Yeah, I recommend it, Kim. I think that you would like it.
Do they have like ready-made decks, right?
They do, yeah. So initially they came out with what they called starter decks, starter packs, and they had 2 decks in them. This time what they did was they came out with what they call showcase or showdown decks, and it's just 1 deck. So you can just buy 1 deck, and then it's ready-made, ready to go. I find typically the decks are fairly balanced within the set. So like when you bought the 2 starter packs and you had the 2 decks from the same set that went against each other, they were pretty balanced. When you start going different sets, they might not be as balanced, just depending on stuff. And then they also announced that there's going to be a rotation. I think next year they're going to rotate out a certain number of sets. So yeah, it's interesting what's going on there, and it's pretty popular. They're running big events everywhere. In fact, just recently this weekend, there was a great big, I think they call them planetaries, because Star Wars. So the big planetary competition was in Cannes in France, where they hold like the film festival. So in the south of France, there was pictures of it on the internet, and there was like all these big palm trees and this like massive Star Wars tent, and they were playing Star Wars Unlimited. I was like, oh, I want to go to France and play Star Wars.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it was a really fun pre-release. We played 3 rounds. It's best of 3. You get approximately an hour to play your rounds. I won 1 match against Rob. I did not win the entire round. I just won an individual match, and I should have won the round because the last turn, my last turn, I chose to take initiative for the next round, and Rob still had resources available, and I still had resources available, but if I didn't take it, I was for sure gonna die. If I did take it, I had a chance of winning. So I was like, I could play one more card and sort of assure my victory, provided Rob doesn't take initiative. Or I could take initiative now and hope I pull something that's going to help me get to victory next turn. So I took initiative on the off chance that Rob would take the initiative away from me and guarantee a win. And he of course played another card, and he probably would have played another card anyway because I'm familiar with his playstyle. So I was one power short of killing him on my first turn there, so he ended up winning that round. It was super, super close. It was really good. But then in my other games, I lost all my other games. With card games, sometimes you don't draw what you need, things like that. So yeah, you draw 2 cards at the beginning of every round. You put 1 down as a resource, and then you use your resources to play your cards. So
do you have to play? You don't have to play a resource every turn.
It is optional. The only thing you have to do is on your first hand, you have to put down 2.
Okay.
After that, it's optional. So yeah, super cool, super fun set. Really neat stuff happening in it. Really like the pilot mechanic. Like to see where that goes, and really like the introduction of indirect damage. So that was Star Wars.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's it for our plays.
It is. And we're running a little long tonight, Kim.
Wow.
So do we want to skip this next one and just go right to the dice bag?
We don't have to talk long about it.
Sure.
So this is a Jocelyn and Kim plays.
Together.
I know. So every Friday night we play DCC. Or MCC. Oh.
Mutant Crawl Classics.
And we just finished the one that we finished the one we had gone going for months.
The campaign, yeah.
Yeah. In a yeah, how did we finish that? And we finished, I don't remember the story now. We finished that one, then we started a new one.
So we didn't finish it, but we did beat
the big boss. Yeah.
And then it was kind of getting late, so we're like, okay, we'll wrap up next week. And then we decided to pick up this other thing, which was called the Mega Maiden. And this is it's based on DCC rules, but it's very battle focused.
Yeah, you're fighting. All you do is fighting.
All you're doing is fighting.
Yeah.
And typically when you play a role-playing game, there is a thematic theme to it where you're playing a character and you're trying to, you're doing puzzles and looking around at stuff. This is strictly just battle. You go in and you are smashing face and
going up a pyramid.
Yes, and this one is specifically, it's 20 rounds.
Yep.
So it was a level 2 adventure?
Yes. Yeah.
Level 2 adventure, and we were 4 players, so we each had 2 characters, and I think if we had less than that, Kim, we for sure would have died.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we almost died as it was. Like, I don't know how all of us survived.
I don't know, but it was a crazy ending.
It was a crazy ending. So I don't think we want to spoil too much in case somebody wants to play this in future. But basically what I would say is this concept of the Mega Maiden in the RPG space, I think it would be a great entryway into getting somebody into playing an RPG, because a lot of people think that an RPG, a role-playing game, is just rolling dice and attacking stuff, right?
Or actually just getting into your character and not doing much of that stuff.
Murder hobos. You've heard that phrase? I think I've said it before on the podcast, where you go into your role-playing game and all you're doing is just murdering everything in front of you. That's the goal. This is kind of like that. So if that's, if you want to get into it and understand like how you roll dice and how you use spells and things like that, this is a good way to do it. Because there isn't a lot of character building, role-playing. This is what my character would do. It's, we have to do this thing. We have to achieve this goal. We have 20 rounds to do it. There's no time to sit around and chat about it. We just got to move forward. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was super cool. So every level had a different obstacle that we had to get through. And then once we got to the top, of course, there was the big baddie. And surprisingly, like I said, all of us pulled through.
Yes, it was epic.
Kim's character was the one that made the final blow to keep us all alive.
Epic.
It was epic. It was epic.
It was an achievement.
It was a real achievement for sure. It was it Evan?
Yes. Evan the Wizard.
Evan the Wizard took the final action that
I was the first to go, wasn't I?
Yeah.
I was the first one to go and did it. Yeah.
On that level. Yeah.
Yep.
You cast this amazing spell and got a fantastic result, and we were able to pull it off. And I was for sure we were going to die because we were on round 19.
Yeah.
So we only had the rest of that round plus
and
the next
19.
round
Yeah.
to pull it off.
And to figure out what we had to really do, right? Yeah. So it's not just bashing. You could bash, but it's like, oh, they don't like that.
Yeah. So big thanks to Rob for running that. Rob runs our DCC. I mean, I ran one for a while too, right? So the most recent couple.
The DM.
He's judged in DCC. So yeah, that was super fun. And then we'll talk more about DCC maybe in future episodes. Maybe we talk about the characters and the types of things they can do. Maybe we'll get Rob on.
Yeah, we'll be starting a new one at some point, right? So
yeah, so this week coming up, you're not around because you're going to break out on Friday. Going to Toronto on Friday. But I think Dennis is going to run the Star Wars RPG.
Yep.
The old Star Wars RPG. So we're getting set to do that. I think Rob and I and possibly our friend Mike are going to be in. And maybe Dennis's brother Matt. So, but we're just going to run that this week, and then we'll get back into some other stuff next week. So
cool.
So yeah, really enjoying the RPGs.
Yeah, they're fun. My chaotic stuff. I love being chaotic. That will wrap up all our game playing for the last 2 weeks, pretty much.
That's a lot.
But yeah, well, it's a short dice bag, so.
Yeah, so dice bag for this week, we got a comment from Collector Rob in the A Double Double and Dice podcast channel on DM North TV, which said the official death knell for DM A Double Double and Dice have benched the DM chat.
It's benched. It could come back up, but
if there is news.
For now, it's on the bench.
For now, we're going to talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
And then in our group chat with Jackalope Spam Nick, he suggested that we rename the Shelf of Shame, because I'm not a big fan of that, to the Shelf of Opportunities. How do you feel about that, Kim?
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that? Do you have another suggestion?
I do not.
No? Okay. We'll go with that for now. As for tracking games, he said he likes BG Stats. And then he provided some context on Root. So, Kim, you'll have to let me know here what you thought. So he said, Kim was super close to winning when she played the Dominance card. Jordo had just lost everything and couldn't push back. Nick saw it coming and saved a lot of resources to capitalize on that. He said, I think if Kim waited another turn after Nick had spent all of his stuff, she could have won with the Dominance card.
But the only problem was I had no clue what his fraction did.
No, exactly.
So it was just like, looks like I'm winning this. I'm just going to play this card.
Well, and because Nick had played it before, he had sort of an advantage, right? So,
multiple times.
Yeah, he described it as a strategic war game that's definitely not for everyone. It does suffer from downtime between players and a longer playtime. He thinks the popularity is due to the uniqueness of being a fairly balanced asymmetrical game for the genre. It encourages and rewards experience. So that's sort of the root piece. And then he sort of commented on what we had talked about, how there's a bunch of events coming up. So it was a huge weekend for releases. There was Star Wars Unlimited, which we just talked about, New Larcana, Pokemon, and also Marvel Champions. So there was a lot of stuff releasing.
Magic? I think he said Magic. No?
He said he thought it was Magic, but it was actually Pokemon. So yeah, totally makes sense. So it's crazy when all that stuff comes out at once, because it makes it difficult for game stores that play all of those things to determine like what they're going to spend their space on, their time.
Or even if you're a player that plays all of these. Could you imagine?
We also had HeroClix, right?
Could you imagine playing? I mean, Star Wars and New Larcana and Magic and.
I mean, I had Saturday was HeroClix and Sunday was Star Wars Unlimited, and that was my weekend. It was done. Like, we did it all.
Yeah.
And I knew Lorcana was coming out because the local store was doing that, but I couldn't do that. Like, I can't do everything. So
pick and choose.
Yeah. So this is our first one. We'd love to hear your feedback on what we talked about. Is this the type of stuff you want to hear when it comes to us playing games, or is there something different you'd like to hear? Do you want us to deep dive into any of this stuff? Let us know. We're going to keep coming up with ideas and topics and things to talk about. We've got Breakout Con coming up, so that'll be a topic of a future episode. And we also are going to have a special guest on our next episode, Kim.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune in for our special guest to learn about a different TCG that we have not talked about today.
No, we have not. We touched on it, but we didn't talk about it.
So that's what's coming up in 2 weeks. So you can let us know in all the usual places. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Kim?
No, that's it.
There's a Dice Throne tournament coming up, isn't there?
No, there isn't.
Oh, I thought there was.
No, we're waiting on a new product.
Pardon?
We're waiting on a new product.
Oh, there's something about missions I thought I saw on the Discord.
Missions is the new board game that came out for Dice Throne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there's new characters coming out. I haven't received mine yet.
Got it. So nothing until that stuff comes out.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. All right. Well, let us know what you thought in the comments below. Now I'm doing my ending for Dice Station Zero.
You can. I don't know if you actually could comment in the
but you can't comment on the podcast. There's a whole bunch of places you can comment on the podcast, though. You can send us an email at tripledpodcast@dm-north.com. You can comment on our episode post on dm-north.com website. You can find us on Discord at dmnorthtv. There's a link in the episode description. You can find us on all the socials as DM North TV. That's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, all the places. And you can find Kim and Matt playing board games that we'll probably talk about on this podcast on Saturday nights over at twitch.tv/DMNorthTV or youtube.com/DMNorthTV. So until next time, on a Double and Dice, a tabletop gaming podcast.